Hello guys, welcome to week 2 of Elevate the Future. So today we're going to be going over some operators and basic loops.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to go over basic operators and basic loops. Be careful when using numbers in an input statement. If you try storing it to a variable, it stores as a string as the default example. These are examples. So next slide. Next slide, please. Addition, but with strings. If you want to combine two strings, use a plus in between both, and then you can print those. This is an example too. So when you do this, this is what comes out. When you print the hello plus world, that's what comes out. So the next thing is if else statement. What's an if else statement? An if statement is written by using the if keyword, and the else keyword catches anything that isn't cut in the preceding condition. Because the image I right is an example. The math symbols. Next slide, please. Next. Python usually supports logical conditions for mathematics, but mathematical symbols in Python are not the same as in real life. So this is an equal sign. The first one is an equal sign. The second one is not equal. The third one is less than. The fourth one is less than or equals to. The fifth one is greater than, and the last one is greater than or equal to. This is an example of an if-else statement. The if is going to be going over later. Then this is like a flow chart of the next slide. This is like a flow chart of an if-else statement. And next slide, please. This is also an example. So if the answer to the question is yes, print take an umbrella, and then if it's not, say put it on a heart. Next slide, please. This is also an example of an if-else statement. Don't forget to put the colon. Many programmers don't spend so much time, and then you run into errors. Yeah.
So here's an example of some elif statements. So an elif statement, it's short for else if. So like it's like the thing that comes after an if statement. So say you have like if you're doing this and that's not true, then you can also have another statement after that that says like else if. And you can have as many elifs as you want in code. So then if the statement in an if statement is false, it checks the next statement in the elif block. And then if they're both false, then it just continues going on and like goes until like you find like something true or like the if elif block ends. So like here's an example of how it's written in Python. So then you can see here if b is more than a, like b is not more than a. So then it just continues on to the elif, and then it'll print a and b are equal. And it's just going to ignore the else because it's already gone through like gone into the elif. Then here's like another example of how it might look. This time there are two elifs. So here's an activity for you guys. So you can write a state. So like try to code this on your own. So like write a code where like you take the user's age. There's a function called input that you can use for that. And then if it's less than or equal to 13, then print that print like Well, I guess there's a ticket and then print say the ticket is free. And then like if their age is more than 13 or less than equal to 18, then say that the ticket price is $5. And if their age is more than 18, then print that the ticket price is $10. So if you want to do that, you can pause the video right here and then like try it on your own. Logical operators. So here are some two basic logical operators. There's and or. So then and is like two statements that if they're both true, then the code will return true. And then like or is like if there's one statement that's true, then it'll return true. So say like, so here right here, it says if first input equals 1 and second input equals 2, then like since both if what the first one is 1 and the second one is 2, then it'll print this line down here. But then if like it's not, if one of them's not 1 or one of them's not 2, then it won't print. So then like here's an example of how you might use like inputs and like ifs and ands and things and ors and things like that. So this is a calculator project. So then like you want to take the input for like add, subtract, multiply, divide, and then like ask them to input another number and then like input a second number and then like it'll just do the operation. You can like it can like do the operation based on like what operation you selected. So now if you want to like try to code that on Replit, you can do that as well. Like pause the video. The answers will be on the next slide. So the first thing you have to do is set up variables. Variables, if you remember from last week, they can be used to store values, especially inputs like these, which you will need to use for your calculator project. So then to do that, you like make a variable name, then you set it equal to an input. And then like you can add some text into the input, like it'll like print that line and then you can enter stuff after it, and like it can give context for like what the person using the program needs to enter for the input. And then like after that, in the code, you need to check the operator, because for OP, that's the operator. Like you can type like A, S, D, or M, and then here it'll check what if you typed A, S, D, or M, and then it'll like calculate do the corresponding operator. And then after that, it's just a simple print statement. It just prints out the final value. And then like if you could do this yourself in Replit, there's should be a run button at the top right corner that you can click, and then you can test your code. And here is like the entire bit, like just all together. Yeah. All right. So since this is just a recording, we won't be doing the Kahoot. So that's the end of the lesson. Thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you.